Good day, student. I am Mr. JBA Salceda, your Physical Education and Health 2 teacher. Before we go to our topic, we need to know first the objectives of our lesson for today.
Objectives. Number 1 is to understand and analyze the proper etiquettes of exercise and first aid. Number 2 is to demonstrate proper etiquette and the safe use of facilities and equipment. Playing sports or physical activities is a lot of fun, but getting injured without enough knowledge in first aiding can lead you to danger or worse death. First aid is a critical emergency situations like injury, illness, or sudden health emergency. Any of this can occur in the places where we live or doing activities. At any moment, you or someone around you could experience an injury or illness. So in this video lesson, using the basic first aid, you may be able to stop a minor mishap from getting worse. In that case of a serious medical emergency, you may even save a life. But before that, we need to know first the meaning of first aid. First aid. First aid is the immediate care given to a person or victim who has suddenly become ill or has been injured. Bandaging. What is bandaging? Bandaging is a process of covering a wound or an injured part. We have the following uses of bandaging. It is to prevent contamination of wound by holding dressing in position, to provide support to the part that is injured or dislocated joint, to provide rest to the part that is injured, to prevent and control hemorrhage, to restrict movement or immobilize a fracture or a dislocation, to correct deformity, and to maintain pressure. Types of bandage.
In the next slide, we have the 4 types of bandage that we use in first aid.
The first one is gauze. It was originally made of silk and was used for clothing. It is especially useful for dressing wounds where other fabrics might stick to the burn or laceration. Next is elastic bandage. Elastic bandage are commonly used to treat muscle springs and strains by reducing the flow of blood to a particular area. Elastic bandage are also used to treat bone fractures. Next is tubular bandage. Tubular bandage are used to hold dressings on fingers or toes or support injured joints. And the last is triangular bandage. Triangular bandage can use as a large dressings, as slings to support a limb, or to secure a dressing in place. In the next slide, we will use triangular bandage as a part of this video lesson about bandaging, because triangular bandage is the most useful aside from the 3 bandages that I presented earlier in terms of bandaging. A standard triangular bandage is from a piece of cloth approximately 40 inches square by folding the square diagonally and cutting along the fold. It is usually made from unbleached cotton cloth, although any kind of cloth will do. The triangular bandage is also used to support fractures and dislocations, to apply splints, and to form slings. The standard size of triangular bandage is 40 by 40 by 56 inches, or in centimeter, 102 by 102 by 142 centimeters.
In the next slide, we have the 2 pieces of triangular bandaging. The first one is we call this an open face bandaging. An open face bandaging is used for a wound that is on top and back of the head, chest, hand, foot, or arm sling. We use open face bandaging for a large part, injury, or burn in our body. The second one is we call this an cravat face bandaging. The cravat face bandaging is used for wounds that need extra support, like wounds in the eye, elbow, ear, cheek, jaw, knee, And for a sprain, we use Cravat paste bandaging for a small part injury or burn in our body.
Parts and folding of a triangular bandage. Parts of triangular bandage. First, we have the apex, the base, the side, the end of triangular bandage, and the body. The next is folding a triangular bandage into a cravat. The first fold, we called it broad. To make a broad, bring the point apex of the triangular bandage to the middle of the base. The second fold is we call it semi-broad. To make a semi-broad, continue fold lengthwise along the middle. The third fold is narrow cravat. To make it narrower, fold it again until you obtain the desired width. Methods of applying triangular bandage. In the next slide, we have the methods of triangular bandage. I already selected 8 basic methods on how to apply triangular bandage by first aiding or bandaging in an emergency situation. Okay, first, in using the triangular bandage, meron tayong sinusunod na methods kung paano natin itatali after malagyan ng bandage. We have the right over left, left over right. We called it and a square knot. So this is a magic. Head tap for head injuries. Fold the base at least 2 to 3. In methods of applying bandage, always don't forget to put a dressing first before the triangular. Place folded base aligned with eyebrows. Pull back and cross over at the back, tacking affix beneath. Pull both ends in front or secure with a square knot at the center of the folded base or tack ends. And don't forget to hide the tail of that triangular bandage. Pull down apex, tack sides neatly. And the last, tack apex neatly at crossover area. Arm sling. First step, place folded base vertically over. Second step, one arm with pointed directly under the elbow of injured arm. The third step, lower ends of base at the side of the neck using a square knot. The fourth step, make several twists with apex and tie a knot. Next is chest bandage. The first step, apex at the shoulder of injured part. The second step, pull back folded base and secure with square knot at the center indentation of the back. The third step, tie longer end with apex. Hand or foot bandage. The first step, place the hand or foot in the middle of the triangular bandage with the wrist or heel well forward of the base. The second step, ensure that the fingers or toes are separated with absorbent material to prevent chopping and irritations of the skin. The third step, place the apex over the top of the hand or foot and tuck any excess material into the pleats of each side. The last step, cross the ends on top of the hand or foot, take them around the wrist or the ankle, and tie at the front of the wrist or ankle. Open palm of the hand. The first step, lay the middle of the cravat over the palm with the ends hanging down on each side. The second step, take the end of the cravat at the little finger across the back of the hand, extending it upward over the base of the thumb, then downward across the palm. The third step, take the thumb end across the back of the hand, over the palm, and through the hollow between the thumb and the palm. The last step, take the ends to the back of the hand and across them, then bring them up over the wrist and cross them again. Bring both ends down and tie them with a square knot on the top of the wrist. Cravat for the knee. For bandaging cravat for the knee, the first step, start on the top of the knees, and the second step, cross over and twist to 2 to 3 times under the knee. The third step, cross over on top or pull ends to the opposite sides. And the last step, secure with a square knot under the knee. Cravat for the forearm, arm, leg, and thigh. The first step, place center of cravat over the dressing. The second step, begin ascending turns with upper end and descending turns with the lower end, with each turn covering 2 to 3 of descending turn until dressing is covered. The last step, terminate by tying both ends in square knot. Ear, cheek, and jaw injury. Clean the wound and apply the dressing. First step, put the apex near the injured ear of the victim. The tails of the bandage must frame the victim's face. The second step, one tail on the top of the head, the other goes from the jaw of the temple. The third step, pull the tails, making them meet on the head's temple, and do a cross point by pulling the tail from the front in both an upward then backward motions. In doing so, pull the other tail downward to the front. The last step, let the two ends meet at the other side of the head and do a square knot tie.
So that's all for today, and I hope you learned something about bandaging and first aid. Don't forget to share your knowledge, what you have learned in this video lesson. So see you in my next video lesson.